The Court of Appeals in New York has tossed the $500 million civil fraud fine by AG Tish James. This is breaking news today. And I will say this is one where Clay called this very early on and he was vociferous. He was unwavering. I thought this was possible, but not as confident. So I give the full predictive. If both of us 100% agree on something, it's not. I give the full predictive value here. All points awarded to Clay on the prediction on this one, because I thought it was kind of a 50-50, and he said they're absolutely going to toss it. And now this is good. The appellate division, first department in New York, credit where it's due, did the obviously right thing. This was a completely insane case, obvious political headhunting. Attorney General of New York State, Tish James, was awful what she did. It was disgraceful that she ran promising to prosecute somebody or promising to find somebody, bring suit against, civil suit in this case. And that they said, Clay, I mean, the things that came out in this case, that Trump valued Mar-a-Lago at $517 million, and they said it was $27 million in 2020. Anybody with even a passing, the vaguest familiarity with the Palm Beach real estate market, I don't know what house you're going to get on the water for $27 million in Palm Beach these days. Clay, it was the abuse of law in the worst possible fashion. And maybe, no, look, he's president now, so maybe the appellate court decided they weren't going to continue to poke the dragon. But a good call by you, sir. Take a bow for sure. And a good moment, actually, I know this sounds corny, perhaps, but it's true. A good moment for law and order in this country, or for the rule of law in this country.
Yeah, for people who have forgotten, and I know there are so many different legal proceedings. We've joked kind of about this, but I never would have believed when I went to law school that I would end up just analyzing Trump legal cases for what feels like a career oftentimes, because Trump 2.0 has primarily been driven, the resistance has, by the judiciary, by the legal branch, and it all started as a part of the 2024 election. So this particular case, and I know there are so many of them that it is hard to keep up, was brought by Letitia James alleging mortgage fraud. And I'm trying to simplify this a little bit. And she said the mortgage fraud was that Trump inflated the assets that were under his control to obtain a lower rate of the mortgage than he otherwise should have. But, and this is why the case was really outlandish from the start, he paid all the loans back. So there was no actual victim here. The banks...
Even worse than that, Clay, he paid all the loans back with interest, and the banks said they had no problem with this.
Correct.
They agreed with it. The banks did an independent assessment. They always do, right?
Yes.
This is, well, anyone who's gotten a mortgage knows it is a giant pain in the butt. The banks do their own assessment. They want their own person to go in there. Clay, the banks said they would be, this was part of the court filings, they would be eager to do business with Trump again.
Yes. So this was an incredibly strange legal theory to begin with, because there was no victim. And so the idea that Trump should have to pay back over $500 million with interest now, she tried to calculate what the rate, in her opinion, should have been for the loans that Trump took out, that he ended up paying back, and that the bank said they were very comfortable in the deal they did, and then argued that that was a fraud perpetrated, that the state of New York needed to investigate, bring civil penalties against, and the New York Court of Appeals just said this is garbage. And here is where I think we are headed. I think all these cases are going to end up getting tossed. I think there are three, correct me if I'm wrong, Buck, because sometimes I get kind of lost in the weeds on some of this too. There are three New York State trials and or legal proceedings of significance. There's probably more than this. One is this one that was just tossed out, the mortgage fraud. The other one was the E. Jean Carroll civil suit relating to allegations of sexual assault. I think that's going to be tossed. I've explained why. And then is it 34 felony counts over bookkeeping fraud? It was 34, right? Not 43. I can't remember which one of those numbers it
right,
was.
yes.
I think all three of these are going to get tossed eventually. The felonies, obviously, is the only one that is criminal in nature. And it is a sham case that is going to be tossed on appeal. The most likely, if you had me rank them to remain, if Trump were going to lose one of these, it would be the E. Jean Carroll. But I just, at its baseline, again, this goes into the weeds, I don't understand how it's defamation to deny that you raped someone. I mean, that seems like fair for Trump to say, right?
This would mean that in any case, by the way, your defense would make you liable for the defense itself, right? You know, I didn't do this thing. Let's have a trial. Oh, we're going to find you guilty. And by the way, because you said you didn't do it, we're also going to sue you because of what you said in court. I mean, I don't understand how
it is crazy. And let me be even clearer on this, because we've seen a lawsuit over George Stephanopoulos of this. Trump was actually, in a civil context, found not to have committed rape. That is, the jury found it more likely than not in a civil context that he did not commit a rape. They did find it more likely than not that he had engaged in sexual assault. So he then said, this is where the additional lawsuit and additional damages came, Buck. After this verdict, he said, well, that's not true. I didn't, rape her. I didn't sexually assault her. And then she's lying about that. And then she sued him again, saying, well, he defamed her based on the ruling that she had gotten. So, I just think that case is garbage. We're seeing the Letitia James mortgage case is officially, basically, from the New York Court of Appeals, garbage. And I think all the felony charges are going to get tossed, too. Now, a lot of you may say, I don't even care. Trump's in office, all these things. I do think the court's rulings here matter, because the precedent they put in place when they went after Trump, if you happen to be a Republican and live in a blue state, or candidly, if you happen to be in a Democrat and run in a red state, we can't allow your politics to become proxy for civil and criminal liability just based on what you happen to believe, in my opinion.
Trump stomped on lawfare the same way that he stomped on MSNBC and CNN and accomplished things that I don't think many of us believed were even possible years ago. In both of those instances, the fact that you had it was 4 criminal trials, or 4 criminal prosecutions rather, and multiple civil suits, all timed to hit him at the same time, and while he's running for president, and that he will emerge from all of that, Clay, essentially. Now, I know there's still the New York case, but that one, I agree with you. I mean, there's going to be no punishment that he's the president. They can't do anything right now. And there's going to be no punishment for it. And I think eventually that's going to be overturned as well. He's going to emerge unscathed from all of this.
Yes.
Which is incredible. And it also goes to, I think, the desperation that the Democrats feel right now, because what happens when you've thrown everything in the kitchen sink and the other guy just grins and keeps coming? That's exactly what Trump did. They did everything they could, abuse the system in ways we have never seen before as a country. And Trump is president, more popular than he's ever been. His base is more behind him than they've ever been, if that's even possible. And what have they got? Gavin Newsom trying to create cool guy memes of himself and posting them online.
It's one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen. I mean, whatever you think of Trump, I don't know that we have ever seen someone take this degree of attack and just keep moving forward and ultimately vanquish everybody who tried to fight against him. I mean, at this point, you're going to like this pop culture reference. It feels like Trump is Neo in the Matrix, Buck. It feels like he has just learned how to move at a different speed and how to handle attack, for those of you who have seen the movie, in a way that is unprecedented, and where he can basically turn on his foes and just utterly vanquish them. And look, I do, the one thing I will say is I really admire Trump, because there were so many cowards who refused to stand up for Trump that now are showing up and kissing the ring. He's been the cover for a lot of companies out there that knew that their woke employees were engaging in ridiculous insubordination that undercut the very fabric of the company's culture itself. And he is making so much of American society better because they're using him as the cover and saying, well, Trump won, we have to do this. They're doing what they know to be right because Trump has given them the cover to do it. And I just think the Trump story for decades to come is actually going to get more impressive because so many people out there are caught up in the political moment day to day, and they've just decided they hate Trump. And as that fades, I think Trump is going to become an even more iconic figure than he is as we speak about him on this day.
This is a man who, at no point during the effort to destroy him, destroy his legacy, his reputation, take away his freedom, tried to bankrupt him. I mean, it's $500 million, I think, plus $100 million in interest. Now, Trump has a lot of money, but that hurts anybody. Cash, okay? When was the last time you heard of a fine for an individual that big, I might add? I mean, how much money could he have possibly made?
It's a sign of
with these bank loans if they had even been high. There's no way it would
well,
have been $600 million.
It's bonkers, Buck. I mean, they went back in time to the date of the initial loan and decided to create their own loan rate, and then charge him interest on that for, it's one of the most harebrained legal schemes I've ever seen. And again, it is Trump derangement syndrome inside of a courtroom. And I honestly think Letitia James should be disbarred over some of the legal arguments that she has made and some of the actions.
She, as has been alleged, was involved in actual clear mortgage fraud herself. She should spend some time in a prison. That should actually happen because she sent other people to prison for that while she was AG. No problem with that. Why shouldn't she go? She would send any of you, if you checked, it's my primary residence and it's not, and you got a better rate and all. She would send you to prison, but she doesn't go to prison. But just one more note on Trump, Clay. During this whole process, never once did you see this guy, and he's in the public all the time. He's showing up for the mug shot, and he got shot, as we know, in Butler, Pennsylvania. Never once did you see this guy despair. Never once did you see him claim that he's unable to handle all the forces arrayed against him. I mean, there's a real lesson in that. I mean, this guy is a force of nature. A lot of what was thrown against him would have been enough to break even some considerable, formidable people out there, and he just kept coming. He just kept coming. There's a life lesson in that. Never give up. All right, we spent time yesterday on the program discussing D.C. crime, as you know, and I know not that many of you live in D.C., but wherever you are, you need to be prepared. There are home invasions that can happen, even in very safe jurisdictions. You just want to make sure that you have the tools you need in your home to protect yourself and your family. This is why we're such big believers in Saber products. Saber products, which are non-lethal, a whole range of personal and home defense products, have safeguarded hundreds of thousands of peoples. Their pepper sprays, pepper gels, and projectile devices are all made here in the U.S., and my wife, Carrie, she prefers having non-lethal options. And so we have Saber home defense projectile launchers here because if I'm not around and someone's trying to, break in the door or something happens, she knows that she can defend herself with non-lethal options. Act now to protect yourself and your family. Save 15% on Saber's mega bundle with extra projectiles, magazines, and practice targets. Visit saberradio.com. That's SABRE radio.com or call 844-824-SAFE, 844-824-SAFE.